is going all the way. You lose, you go home. You win, you go to the finals. It is all on the line. Who is ready to duel? All right, we begin with the blue chair. And sitting there will be Pascal Maniguet from Elmont, New York. And this is actually his second Final Four. He also made semis at NAWCQ last year. Now to the red chair, we have Kevin Zuger all the way from Switzerland. And apparently, his fun fact is he thinks his IQ is unfortunately bigger than his biceps. I don't know. That was what his fun fact was, everybody. Let's get into this semi-duels match. Are y'all ready, crowd? Love the enthusiasm. Let's send it over to our casters.
Thank you so much, Jackie. It is good to see Pascal at the table again. We've been seeing him all day, and having Kevin over there representing that pure Rizal deck is going to be super awesome to see. I actually think Manuel, our current finalist, is Kevin's teammate, also from Switzerland. So if he wins here, it could be a potential Switzerland versus Switzerland finals in Houston.
Billy on the cast earlier was mentioning how cool it is to go ahead and play against someone you know. It's just a friendly game on the biggest stage in the world here. But Pascal is his opponent, so we're not to that mirror match just yet. Pascal, again, running all those great Goblin cards. We mentioned earlier before we got into it that this is going to be sort of that dream matchup. Do the Goblin Bikers actually get to snatch materials out from underneath these Rizal monsters?
Yeah, we've seen Pascal fight with this deck multiple times against non-Rizal decks, but now I think we're going to get to see the full power of these Goblin cards and the reason they were put in this deck in the first place, and that is to help you when you go second against Rizal.
And who needs Ultimate Slayer when you could just snatch the materials out from under the monsters so they don't really do anything? But both of these duelists have been up on top tier tables before, so you're going to have to get locked in and just show us what they got.
And I really think this matchup is going to be super interesting. You know, I've been a big fan ever since you played it over at the Team YCS in Vegas of the pure Rizal variant, just how resilient and consistent it is. And as Kevin and Manuel have showed us, it is very strong.
It's definitely a commitment. You don't get any of the flash of the Fiendsmith variants or any other combinations if you happen to sprinkle a little bit of water in there too. You just have your game plan. And what could surprise your opponent is if you just naturally draw those search targets for all the different Rizal cards. You may use an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring to stop anything from your 7th Tachyon to Bonfire. And you could surprise your opponent by just saying, well, I already had it, so here's some more Rizal names.
Oh yeah, this is definitely going to be, I think, the duel of the most amount of engine possible in Pascal and the least amount of engine possible, but all the non-engine you need to support that in Kevin. It's going to be super awesome to see.
And again, it is a great showcase of how far Memento can get you into a tournament. I think there may be a few new Memento players after this, and we've already seen some of those great video reveals of Quarter Century Stampede. There are some great Memento reprints in there, so if you decide you want to jump in, you can jump in a way that is stylish like never before.
Now is the time, and Pascal might be a trendsetter if he wins this event. Let's go ahead and see if he has the chance to while we go into this game one.
We're finally here, the final semifinals before the actual finals.
Gonna get that fist bump, and then Pascal has the roll of 8. Pretty decent, above average. Versus 7, and Pascal will have the choice to either go first or second. Both players again wish each other luck. It's time to duel while we draw our opening hand of 5 cards. Very meticulous over there on Pascal, making sure he just picks every card up before he starts committing.
Kevin got a great start with some points of interaction. I saw an Infinite Permanence and Droll and Lockbird. That could be critical here.
But there we see the Tatsuno Toshigo, the really awesome ignition effect that lets him dump as many names as possible. And uh-oh, this could be a bad start for Kevin needing to read this card because it does everything.
You know, there is a running gag among European duelists that nobody knows how plants work. I wonder if nobody knows how Memento works over there, if they don't have a lot of Memento duelists over there. Wow, though!
There we see the Infinite Impermanence, but the chain of that with... Oh, I guess it was on a resolution because it was in the graveyard, but now we're using the Bone Party to send the Tatsuno Toshigo to the graveyard and get access to our Anguish.
Very good stuff. You wouldn't want to do it in an immediate chain because you still have to be able to destroy a Memento monster in order for Tatsuno Toshigo to work there. And of course, jokes aside there, just like Billy was saying earlier, it doesn't matter where you are from in this world. As long as you put the time in, you get the grind in, you're a great duelist. And that's exactly what these 2 international players are.
But here we got the Anguish being able to search his deck right now. Probably going to get access to Dark Blade because he hasn't normal summoned yet for turn. That could be pretty nice. Or that Sleepy for that extra extension because a monster has been destroyed this turn.
Just like you said, Kevin may not have a lot of Memento partners to play against, and so here is Memento Sleepy being read once more. It's a great card, and I feel like it's been the MVP for Pascal. All these different fusion summons has kept him in this tournament. This is his 3rd time on the feature match stage, and he has earned it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the Memento cards aren't necessarily starters in their own right, but some of them are a mixture of starter and extender, like Sleepy here. And there we see the resolution of Drone Lockbird after Sleepy gets added to the hand.
That may be fine. At this point, you may not be doing too many more searches because of the Memento and Bone Party already being used and the effective Anguish already being used.
Oh, and there we see the fusion summon of 3 monsters, including Mementetlin Gaddock. This will go into that Creation King, and you're totally right, Steven. Droll may stop you from searching, but it does not stop you from sending to the graveyard.
All right, so we're going to send those cards. It already feels like we've sent them with those 3 Memento names right there, but we're picking up the deck, and let's put 3 more down. Not sending the Creation King. Notice he didn't grab the extra deck there.
Yeah, so it's Chainlink 2, Gaddock to summon, Chainlink 1, Creation King to start sending some cards here, just making sure that resolves in order.
Good looking out for sure. Again, still Yu-Gi-Oh! Competition. We're all excited about the finals here. 55 minutes on the clock is going to be a long game here.
So there we have Akihiron being sent as the first card. That'll let him get some extra incentive back into the graveyard. We have Combined Creation. We'll have more than enough names once this Creation King is done resolving, so that can definitely be a big threat during Kevin's turn. And the final card will be, it looks like a spell card, probably the fusion for some follow-up on the after this Drone Lockbird is done resolving. Yeah,
wouldn't be able to use it now, but could be something that you have from the graveyard with the Akihiron.
Oh, that looks like the field spell, actually. Yep, we're going to be sending that so we can activate it during this turn, potentially. Because we can add it back with Akihiron, like you said.
The field spell.
Yep, and then Gaddock's effect to add from the graveyard to hand as well.
It's just such a strange deck. If you haven't played against Memento before, you know, there's some decks where you're like, I don't get what you're doing. There's just a bunch of monsters on the field. I don't feel any pressure. You're not taking any cards out of my hand, destroying, etc. But it plays its own game plan of just having all these different accessible effects. And Pascal said earlier, you just really have to know the deck and just do stuff with it that's appropriate for the situation at hand.
And what's interesting, too, is that there's a chance that Kevin doesn't necessarily know that Pascal has these Goblin cards. So in a game 2 and 3 situation, if he does really well with the Memento cards and doesn't need to go into those Goblin lines, he could probably surprise Kevin with them later on. But here we see those 2 monsters being sent to the graveyard for potentially a Link summon here into SP Little Knight. That will get the opportunity to banish if he wants to do that, because he used the Fusion monster. Not going to do that. We're just going to summon the Combined Creation here by returning these 5 names back into the deck. That's Tatsuno Toshiko, Sleepy, Akihiron, Gaddock, and the Creation King. Keeping access for that Anguish in case we want to summon it back during Kevin's turn and get that search for potentially a Mace for another interruption.
Or you could get the Goblin too in order to protect targeting. And targeting may serve you well knowing your opponent is likely on Ryzel. If you just peek over at any of these featured match streams, you've gotten a little bit of a taste of what your opponent might be on.
And here we have the Memento Field Spell being activated to set a spell trap from the graveyard. We're going to target the Bone Party. Kevin's just reading it to make sure that it is in fact doing what he is saying it does.
Even at this stage of play, there is nothing wrong with reading your opponent's cards. It's important that both players know exactly what's going on.
Like I said, all the Memento cards are both starters, extenders, and they all have essentially 3 effects that can be activated whenever you want them to.
On either player's turn in some cases.
All
right, we're going to pass, and Kevin draws for turn.
There we see a second Drone Lockbird being added to his hand with a little flash of the camera there.
Doesn't seem like he has too many Ryzel names in hand, but does have a few spell cards, including Bonfire.
Kevin did go -2, essentially on turn 0, trying to stymie and interrupt Pascal's turn, but he was still able to establish quite the board in spite of that.
Let's start off with X Ryzel, likely sending, Myriologic Aggregator to the graveyard.
So we're going to have Chainlink 1 be X, Chainlink 2 be Aggregator, targeting the Creation King to negate. We could chain SP, we could chain Combined Creation here to summon. Lots of options here for Pascal.
It kind of forces the Anguish. I don't think that's too much of a problem, though, from Pascal's perspective, because he could just summon the Anguish out and grab Mace or Goblin, respectively.
There's also an argument to using SP and just banishing this extra Iziels. That way it's off the board and can't be used for an XZ summon.
Let's figure out what we do here first. Got to respond in some way, Pascal, but looks like he's going to let it go through.
He's like, I don't need to summon Anguish. I have Bone Party if I need to. I could just destroy my Combined Creation and get value out of it that way. No need to maybe play into potential talents, right?
I feel like it was the Triple Tactics talent bluff there, if he actually does have it or not, but It did keep Pascal at bay. He did not choose to special summon any monsters from the grave with Kutnika Combined Creations effect. But now we're getting Sword Rizel.
And the effective search on summon here. Was that a normal summon or a special? It has to be a normal because there's no Rizel in the grave, right? But he can special summon it because he has one in field, right?
He's got one on field, so it does appear to be the special summon. Probably trying to hold off there for the Ice Rizel.
You chain on the effect.
See if we're going to chain Bone Party to Sword Rizel.
Seems to be fine.
We're going to be destroying our own Combined Creation to either summon or add to hand. This could be the add to hand for Mace, but oh no, now that we don't have Combined Creation, it wouldn't work. But we're going to get Gaddock. Gaddock back on summon.
So maybe trying to wind up for next turn.
Chain link 1.
Well, because the Combined Creation was destroyed, Memento Miklon will be able to bring back that Anguish.
Field spell target. Don't target.
And what's cool is he's doing all this with just spell cards, and
Field
he's
spell
chaining
target,
Gaddock, it looks like, to add the creation back to hand.
Pascal certainly heeding the words of the judges from earlier, doing a great job of explaining each effect and each play action from here.
Yeah, and that's actually a really smart way to get Anguish online, even though the Combined Creation was negated by the Aggregator. Really heads up play from him.
Yes.
Kind of lets him know that there isn't a triple tactics talent right about here, because I feel like this is right when it would drop down.
Now that we're activating our monster effects, but now he can't steal the Combined Creation. All he can steal is an SP Little Knight, which we can chain to the talent anyway.
I think I recognize the other spell that appears to be a Pot of Prosperity in his hand.
Yep.
That might be rough for Kevin, given that it is his second turn, and he might want to try to go for some big damage here, but
And
he needs to dig. He needs to dig, right?
speaking of digging, we are actually fusion summoning right now during the opponent's turn.
Yeah, one from field, two from hand. This could be that Chimera. It's going to be the Creation King instead to get even more sends from the deck to the grave.
Perhaps Pascal values more to, instead of clearing the field, he wants to set up his graveyard as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a special.
Yep, so now we're going to use the effect of Gaddock here because it was sent.
Yeah, chain link 1.
And we're going to use the effect of Creation King to send. So yeah, Gaddock will come back as he was sent to the graveyard this turn. While being, yeah.
Now,
And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, as you could only use each effect once per chain, he may on a new chain try to use the effect of Creation King to destroy the Anguish and the Gaddock to get rid of those two monsters to prevent a single Xyz summon, and later use the SP Little Knight. I think he's trying to starve Kevin from those effects, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, especially now that Pascal knows that Kevin's follow-up is going to be Ice Rizel. You can just chain to Ice Rizel's effect on summon SP Little Knight if he chooses to go for it. And if he chooses not to go for it and you have another interaction, you can stop Kevin in his tracks.
When you have a popular deck like Kevin is playing, certainly you have to learn all the different matchups, but everybody's kind of ready for you.
He just conceded Kev. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That's not a concession. He just got rid of both cards. I saw him pick up his hand, and I was like, what's happening? I'm so sorry.
No, we're excited too. There's nothing wrong with being exciting about this game, but it does look like, again, he's using Creation King. I'm going to destroy two of my own mementos to destroy two of your own cards, still having the SP Little Knight on hand as well. So I think, again, he is trying to just keep Kevin from getting a single Xyz material on the field. No level 4s for you, sir.
Yep, and we have the Akihiron in play as well coming back because another one was sent from the graveyard. We still have the SP Little Knight, so that pretty much invalidates the Ice Rizel like I was saying earlier. Kevin might be forced to Prosperity here, but that guarantees Pascal another turn, and you saw all the follow-up he has access to. That might be too much for Kevin to deal with. You definitely fought a Memento player or time or two with a full graveyard. It's not fun.
Oh, it is very difficult to get through. You think you finally got through all the interactions, and like, hey, guess what? More card effects.
All right, so there we see the Ice Rizel coming down. Effect on summon 2 special from deck. We are going to chain the SP Little Knight here, targeting, I would assume, itself and the Ice Rizel. Probably the safest 2 to pick. And
Just
targeting itself and the Ice Rizel. Seeing if Kevin has anything to chain here. He does not. The Ice Rizel will get banished, but a monster will still be special summoned.
So I feel like you probably get Node Rizel here because you've gone through all these other different effects, and you could discard a card in order to special summon another level 4 and still finally be able to get that Xyz summon out. But Pascal's been doing a great job of just keeping Kevin at bay, not trying to give up that spot in the finals.
Yeah, but that just gets you 1 rank 4 monster, and I don't think Detonator alone is enough to stop Pascal at this point. So Kevin's probably just thinking to himself, okay, what is the level 4 that I could go for here that could let me keep playing in a way that's meaningful? Like you said, Node is probably the obvious pick, but that will require another card from our hand to be sent to the graveyard, which is pretty rough from this board texture given how many resources Kevin's already used up.
Do you think you get rid of the Pot of Prosperity maybe in order to keep the half damage at bay, or do you need the options that bad that you're willing to go ahead and banish 6 targets from your extra deck?
It depends on what kind of non-engine Kevin thinks would be useful here. Yeah, I think Droll and Lockbird has kind of served its purpose of being a stymie card. Having access to that Prosperity as like the oh no button once his turn is over could be pretty huge.
Well, you say stymie card, we were still able to see Pascal do a number of plays under Droll and Lockbird, so maybe that is why he discarded it. Didn't do that much.
Yeah, and at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. So we're going to get that Sword Rise summon back here using the node. And this will be a potential Pixie summon here. The only option I can think of is going to be Rizal Detonator, but I guess we could go for a Duo Drive and try to get more value that way, but I'm not sure what it does for us.
Eyeballing the Tornado Dragon there for just a moment.
This is where you
I mean, there are some, like that Memento Miquelon is a pretty powerful field spell, but we are going to go for the Duo Drive, going to be potentially using the effect on summon to attach. That could get us Cross, as well as an Ice Rizal that we haven't used the special summon effect of, but then... Oh, on Resolution,
wow.
We're going to Forbidden Droplet on the Duo Drive, having its attack points and negating all of its effects.
Cheers from the crowd and much applause.
This is definitely all of Kevin's extension, because I believe he's already used a Bonfire this turn, right? Or no?
Not
He started with
yet.
X. He started with X.
So he still can reach a little further into the deck, but he's used so many different Rizal effects, there's not really much left to his name.
I believe the only one he hasn't summoned is Ice. For its special summon effect, I should say.
That's correct. Maybe you could make an Eclipse Twins from here, but we are using Pot of Prosperity to banish various different monsters face down.
Yeah, that's going to be the full 6, it looks like, trying to get as much dig as possible. I'm not trying to think of the possible non-engine that he could be digging for here. How much is Creation Gate's defense? Because Book of Moon could matter if he plays that to be able to attack over it, but right now I believe Duo Drive is just 1250.
Yeah, I don't think 1250 is going to cut it here, but let's see if any of these other cards will help.
Well, there is that Book of Moon that I was talking about that he could play in his deck. We see Ash Blossom, Imperm. Like, those are all pretty good cards. A nice wide gambit, but no Ice Rizal is a little bit of a bummer for Kevin, I imagine, because that's the only name he has to special summon.
And you'd have to give up a card in order to get it out. Resources are limited here. Now it's got 2,000 defense, so eventually you'll be able to clear it out, but not with a halved attack and negated effect Rizal Duo Drive.
We can always get the Book of Moon too and just set it and then use it on Pascal's turn to stop a potential attack, and thus get like one more turn longer in the game, if that makes sense. Which could be pretty cool.
Some really great choices there, but you can only pick one. The rest have got to go to the bottom of the deck.
I don't think we have any Rizal names in the graveyard, so Cross won't get us any extra digs, but it would give us a potential monster negate during Pascal's turn. Ah, man, if you're Kevin here, all these cards, like, they look really good. They're some of the best cards in the game, but in this exact board texture, I'm not sure they do too much.
The texture seems a little rough to me, but it looks like we are going to go for the field spell. Rizal Cross. No, the Book of Moon, actually. Wow.
Yeah, it's the only one that like does something really meaningful on Pascal's turn
This is
as
for
well.
only monsters, right? Anything.
Yeah, I totally forgot that Creation King can pop multiple things as long as you destroy multiple monsters, which in the Memento deck is no big deal.
Certainly not there. So it looks like we're going to let SP Little Knight resolve during the end phase and return the cards back to the field.
We're going to get the cut from the deck because we were able to search earlier, and then Pascal's going to go to his draw phase.
Stand by, please.
We have the Aki Huron already set up. We have plenty of ways to get more names in the graveyard, so I'm sure Pascal's doing that favorite mass. But there's the Doug Charger coming down, going to be stealing a material from that Duo Drive in order to summon itself. And Pascal gets to pick which one it is, too.
It is so hyped to see Goblin Bikers working for their intended purpose, sort of driving by Rizal and say, I'll just take this Xyz material, that Xyz material, this Xyz material.
Kevin reading this card, too, does not bode well for how this turn is probably going to keep going here, because now he's going to get to search for another Goblin Biker card here. Pascal just looking at his extra deck here, being like, what should I summon this turn? Okay, I think I know where I'm going from here. We could see that Grant entrance that we saw him get in his top 8 match. That could be pretty cool. In fact, that is the one he goes for here. That can get him another Doug Charger if he has it in his deck, which I believe we do know he does because we saw him play 2 earlier.
And the Goblin card's just a great little tech engine here, and obviously that's why we have seen so much just extension and extension and extension out of this deck. But it's also an insurance policy to make sure you actually get to use your favorite cards.
And also the graveyard effect that, but
Yeah, being able to be a 1 card that eats up potentially 2 pops from a Rizal Detonator is so good, especially when you're playing a deck like Memento that has so much extension built in. You can just keep playing despite all the pops they have. Here we have that Grand Entrance. It's going to summon the Doug Charger, and once again, it's going to get rid of another material. I forgot about that part, too. It's also what it does. It's going to be pretty big here for Kevin, because now, even if it goes back to his turn, this Duo Drive will not be able to use its effect.
Uh-oh, are we really seeing on the semifinal stage? Goblin
Biker
Biker
Big Gabonga! Woohoo, baby! And this will eat up potentially another material from this duo drive.
Goblin Biker's eating well. This is incredible.
And this will be able to search for the Grand Breakout, which will get you access to Memento Goblin, which will be pretty huge. Because that'll give you more than enough names to summon back Creation King and maybe even summon back Aki Huron and be able to just to attack directly for game.
Wouldn't take much. You just need to get out the combined creation and then use Aki Huron's effect to make your high-level Memento monsters able to attack directly, and there's not really a lot of protection except that one face-down card.
Oh my goodness. Grand Entrance, eat up the last material, add back Goblin, and then Big Abanga suck up the duo drive. Whew.
That is cooking.
And now we're going to use the effect of Creation King, declaring to pop the spell trap. He's going to trigger the Book of Moon to book the Big Abanga.
I feel like it's done its job, though, at this point.
Yep, here we have Memento Miklong summoning back Aki Huron. That'll make all of his level 9 and higher Mementos be able to attack directly. We're also going to bring back Anguish thanks to Memento Miklong's effect. This let us search.
Every
To attack
Memento
directly.
can attack directly.
Level 9 and higher.
Level 9 or higher?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, just clarifying that
This is
level
8 or
9
9?
and higher Memento monsters
Yes,
can
so
attack
this
directly.
attack
Imagine if
can
they all
attack.
could. That'd be pretty crazy.
But this is level 9 then.
That's a
Yes.
very different deck, but the biggest boss monsters in this deck, one at 3,000, the other at 5,000. That's enough to empty out anyone's life points at the start of a game.
It is worth noting here that Pascal's board's getting a little clogged, but one Link summon, one XZ summon would fix that right up. There we see the Mace being added thanks to Anguish's effect.
You're 8,000? Yep.
Yeah, both players are still at 8,000. Good clarification here from Pascal, just being like, I need to do max damage, eh? Okay. Let's see if we can do that.
I could certainly try scrolling through the graveyard again. Plenty of options. You know that your opponent has a very limited hand here.
Here we're seeing the Anguish's effect, I believe, to destroy the Aki Huron, and I think it just summons from graveyard, right?
That's correct. It summons a level 2 or lower Memento monster.
And we have Gaddock in the graveyard? Question mark? Because we added back the Goblin, right?
Believe so.
Yes.
So there's Gaddock.
There he is.
Just have to solve this puzzle. It's kind of what's neat about playing the Memento deck. Once you get on a roll, you get to kind of create your own custom combo.
Yeah, I think right now he has 3 unique names besides Combined Creation. He just needs to get 2 more in play and then some way to get 3,000 more damage.
It could just link off into another monster depending on what his extra deck holds.
Also, we know Kevin's last card in hand is Bonfire, but Pascal does not, so maybe there are some potential interactions like a Nibiru or a Ghost Ogre or an Ash that he's trying to play around as best as possible, but right now I feel like he feels very unfettered and is going to combo off as much as possible, like you said.
All right, well, let's see what he does with that almost full hand of cards there. Going to go ahead and drop down the Memento Sleepy.
I believe that's going to be the special summon effect, and then we're going to use the effect to summon.
Ah, fusion time.
Another Creation King. That is, will definitely get you the names you need. And there we see Kevin conceding. That is a real concession there. No no false alarms this time. Because you just go Creation King, dump 3 more names, combine Creation, summon back, attack directly, game.
The crowd goes wild for Pascal's finish. He is another game away from breaking his own curse. Remember, he made top 4 before at the NAWCQ.
Yeah.
This would him be advancing even further into a championship level event.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that event also in Texas too? So he gets his run back in Texas?
Yeah, that's weird. I guess he just is having great results down here in the South.
Love to see it. Honestly, it feels like the best thing that probably Kevin can recognize is A, how much extension that Pascal has, and trying to have like these kind of one-for-one trades aren't maybe going to do it for him. He needs to really prioritize cards like Droll and Lockbird, like we saw him do in Game 1, but maybe ones that have a bit more impact, like a Nibiru, like a potential Charmy, that really incentivize Pascal to not play as hard as he did.
I love what Kevin did here, by the way. He performed the old maneuver colloquially called the smoke screen. It's totally legal. You combine your deck and side deck and then manually remove out the cards. Maybe you don't actually side deck in anything, but your opponent has no idea how many cards you've actually added in or not. It's a really cool tactic that hasn't been seen for some time, but it's totally legal and really cool.
Yeah, it's always important to conceal as much information as you can, because if I just said, oh, add 3 cards and I'm going second, you could easily go Lightning Storm and Duster. Okay, cool. No big deal. But if I just go all them in and then I'd be like, here's my 15, you're like, okay, did he even change it all? Who knows?
I can see why Kevin is certainly a fan favorite across the pond there, but they are competing. No special advantage that you get here from waking up maybe in your native time zone. That might be the only thing you get. With 2 experienced duelists go in, they get locked in, and so I'm really excited to see whatever happens here. It's going to be a great one.
Yeah, I think for Kevin, he's just going to want to maximize his ability to play on turn 1 and set up some really powerful XG monsters. I think a card we saw in the last semifinals, Abyss Dweller, could play a big role here in stymieing Pascal enough to where Kevin can walk away with the victory.
But unlike the Mermail matchup, Abyss Dweller is not the one-card key against Memento because a lot of those effects you destroy, but the effect is actually applying and resolving on the field. That's what makes Memento so strange. They don't get a lot of bonuses for the cards being destroyed. They do get some, but it's not a deck like Fire Kings or some of the other strategies out there where they want to destroy in order to get the positive effects. It's just part of the effect.
Yeah, it feels like it just kind of like obliterates a lot of the follow-up that the Memento player could have. Things like Aki Huron, things like...
Oh, Creation King in the Graveyard will be able to... So it does get some stuff done. I ain't taking that away from you for sure.
And definitely, I think what is really impressive about the Rise Seal deck is that it's kind of hard to stop. But once it sets up, is it really doing anything too oppressive? Maybe not to people like Pascal, who can just go, I'm going to resolve some Goblin Biker effects, turn off your Rise Seal, and then just start playing. And then you're like, oh, I guess you will do that.
Now, I wonder if that's going to change anything that Kevin does if he decides to go first here, because Goblin Bikers, that is really exciting for us to see, but as a duelist piloting Xyz deck, well, let's go right to game 2 to see what changes from Kevin's strategy for now.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What is he going to do? Not summon Xyz monsters?
Well, you can't do that, but you could summon different Xyz monsters. Kevin, always a gentleman there, making sure to offer his opponent a little sign of respect there, and now we draw those 5 and see what happens.
Ooh, there we're going to start with Bonfire again. This is always a really interesting play. Does it project weakness? Does it project strength? You'll never know. It's always hard to tell. But then we see the X-Rizal coming down. Definitely a card that projects strength. One of the best starters in this archetype. We're going to go ahead and use the X effects, sending from our extra deck to the graveyard. Going to be that Eclipse Twins, it looks like, and have that set up for later. I
think he wants to set up a little bit more resilience on his turn. Then maybe he has changed things up because he wants to survive.
Ooh, we're going to immediately search the Node Rise Seal here. And then we're going to special our sword from our hand to get another search from our deck. It could be that what we're doing is preserving our ability to duo drive for the powerful spell and trap cards that are in Rise Seal, like Plasma Hole and Plugin. I know Manuel was playing Plugin. Are they also on Plasma Hole?
If they are on Plasma Hole, I am going to jump out of my seat. I've been telling duelists it's a great card. To see it up here, at least on the semifinal stage, would be incredible. Again, if you don't know what Plasma Hole does, I do not blame you, but for each Rizal Xyz monster you control, you get to destroy a card on the field, and you can also banish it from your graveyard in order to perform an Xyz summon using Rizal monsters, and guess what? You can even use that for Eclipse Twins.
Yeah, imagine we're just like talking it up for no reason, and he just opened like double ice, and he's like, I don't need to search another ice. I'm good with just Node.
All right, we'll get the normal summon of Ice here. Ice Rizal is going to special summon. Looks like we're burning up another Sword Rizal.
And now we have more than enough monsters to start Xyz summoning, but we got to be a little bit careful here for Nibiru, potentially. Won't be able to establish Cross too early.
Playing like Nibiru doesn't matter. The 5th summon is an Xyz monster, either way.
Looks like we're going to use the sword. I imagine we're going to go straight into Duo Drive and probably get access to some Cross to protect the rest of our plays this turn. We're going to Xyz summon for 3 into a Detonator straight up.
Maybe not. Maybe.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Duo Drive also takes 2+. I always forget that. I know for Rise Seal it always does, but I've never seen Duo Drive do more than that. And there we have the Imperm on the Duo Drive.
So it makes sense for the 3rd material there so that the Rizal Cross could take a material from Rizal Duo Drive instead of a Detonator later in the turn, but that Infinite Permanence shown really late in the turn. We've always talked about when do you jump in the duel. Pascal's decided to stop the Duo Drive because they've hard committed way too many resources into almost nothing.
Yeah, and against pure Rizal, it's always hard to tell, like, is the mini names the most important thing? Yeah, Duo Drive just gets them so much advantage on your turn as well as their turn. It's just worth stopping if you can.
And the Infinite Permanence there, not triggering any triple tactics talent. And Pascal doesn't know the hand doesn't have that, but looks like there's just an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring for interaction here. Oh, no, though.
That 3 material Duo Drive just being sent to the graveyard so we can special this ice and maybe get access to a Rizal Detonator here who can attach the Eclipse Twins.
But it was properly summoned, so it could come up when the Eclipse Twins does get attached, so all's well that may end well later.
100%. I mean, this is still a potential 3 material Detonator that goes into another Detonator because of Eclipse Twins, which is more than enough disruptions, I think, for Kevin. But we've seen the Goblin cards put a stop to all Xyz monsters. Imagine you just go detach your Eclipse Twins. No summoning because there's only 1 Xyz in your grave.
So getting rid of the Troll and Lockbird there, not going to hold on to it after having seen it, but now we're going to Xyz summon here, and I wonder if we're just going to go in for Abyss Dweller.
Probably the best capper for this kind of board. Ooh, there's the ultimate rare Abyss Dweller. Very beautiful card.
I think we're past the turn here.
This is quite the formidable board. There are many decks in this format that would cower in front of this, but is Pascal's deck one that would do that? Or is he the kind of player that would do that either? Let's find out. We're going to draw phase Dweller, I believe, here. So no graveyard effects for the rest of this turn.
Let's see if the Goblin Bikers go crazy this time.
Normal summon Mace. Not the most explosive start from Memento, but one that I'm sure Pascal's happy to do.
Do you think it telegraphs a Super Star Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis? But if you did that, you wouldn't be able to summon anymore for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, but you would be able to out Dweller and out Detonator it with one card. That's pretty cool. You're
Yeah,
right. Look
okay.
at you. Look at you seeing the future right there.
I'll
Yep.
turn my Millennium Eye off, I promise. Or maybe at least my necklace.
Also, I mean, Kevin has one card in hand and no follow-up, and a Typhon just outs Dweller and goes, all right, send one card over to you, my friend.
Just cheers from the crowd there, going crazy.
I mean, this is the kind of board that Typhon was made for. Your opponent is low on resources. They need to out this, and they can't do it with any of their really powerful monsters. Kevin just draws Imperm, or is that Solemn Judgment? He just draws Solemn Judgment and can't do anything.
Just incredible gameplay here.
He sets the Solomon Pass, and there we see the Bone Party during the end phase. Gonna give Pascal access to his Memento engine, and that'll be more than enough damage to go for game if Kevin can't stop this.
It's something, right? Yes.
Yeah, it does not cost to destroy. It does it on resolution, so if you want to Ash, you gotta do it now.
Just speechless watching the crowd get as excited as they are. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! At its finest.
I mean, I mentioned most players would cower at the face of Detonator plus Abyss Dweller, but when you go, oh, you only have one card in hand, Typhon, clear your whole board, your turn, all of a sudden it's not so scary, huh?
Now it shows you that any deck can win it, and some people say, you know, the Typhon is all about being in a bad situation. If you had to Typhon, you weren't going to win anyway. Well, I hope that gives those duelists pause for thought, because it's still an excellent card, and Pascal has gotten into this position just on its graces.
I mean, do you know how many Rhinesteel names Kevin's gone through already? Like, he has like very little engine that he can use to keep playing. He's just gonna go, yeah, Bone Party's fine. We're gonna destroy Aki here on all cards.
Oh my goodness!
That
Just
is so
everything
good.
going Pascal's way. Kevin working his way into this duel, but may not have too much of a turn left.
We are using Darkblade here to destroy the set face down by discarding the Gadget that we have in hand. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. The secret second effect of Darkblade, getting rid of that super set Solemn Judgment right there.
It doesn't matter until it does.
And then on Pascal's turn, he can just use the Ignition effect to destroy it and get access to his full Memento combo.
Taking a quick look at Akihiron, just letting the judges confirm everything is on the up and up. Memento is a super popular deck, so you don't see the interactions every day.
Yeah, I think the chain link is like Akihiron 1, Gaddock 2, Darkblade 3. I guess it would be Darkblade 1, then Gaddock, yeah, on a new chain.
With this you can now start using adding. So this added.
Yes, we're going to add the Mace back to hand with the Akihiron is what he's saying. That is good. And then the Solemn Judgment, which it was, does go to the graveyard.
Nope.
Oh yeah, Gaddock was discarded. It wouldn't be activating anyway.
And by the way, all of that on Kevin's turn.
Yes, and now we can Darkblade Ignition, like I said earlier, just destroy a card and summon Anguish.
Kevin assessing his options here.
We do have an Ash Blossom, which I believe can stop Darkblade.
This can special summon anything, right? Destroy Memento on field and or hand. Just on field. On field.
Kevin just carefully making sure he understands the situation.
It does resolve. It will get destroyed, and he will summon from the deck.
I think it was a smart play from Kevin to hold off. This is a great time to use an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, if he so decides.
We're going to have, but now we're chain blocking with Akihiron, though, so now he's lost his opportunity to do so because the Memento monster was destroyed. It's always hard remembering how many different effects these Memento cards have and when they can activate.
Even if you play the deck, that's for sure. Kevin, take a look at the graveyard there while Pascal cycles through the deck, grabbing a card, and it is the combined creation.
Yep, and now here we have the effect of Akihiron saying all my level 9 and higher can attack directly because it happens on summon. It's mandatory.
Anguish effect, target. To summon back, right? Yep.
Yep, so now we're going to have Anguish destroy Akihiron and summon back Gaddock. Gaddock effect on summon will be able to add back the Darkblade, I believe. Or I guess Akihiron too.
Lots of different choices here. Not quite enough names yet for the Memento Tekutleka combined creation, but it's coming.
Yeah, but he only needs to do what? 5,800 damage. We've got 29 with Typhon.
But I never used the effect to activate. Okay. Chain Link 1, target. Bone Party, Chain Link 2, target.
Ooh, that's right. Gaddock can add back any Memento card. I always forget about that.
2 cards back to the hand. Just resources on resources on resources.
Oh, and here we have a potential Link summon here just to clear his own Typhon. Going into an SP Little Knight here. Probably not going to use the effects, that way he can still attack directly.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to banish something. No attacking directly. Go ahead.
I was going to say, here we have Sleepy, which lets us get even more monsters in play, and we're going to be able to fusion summon. That'll give us all the names we need with this Creation King to summon out the Memento Lin combined creation.
4,600 on the field so far.
And we are going to be chain blocking the Creation King, making a Chain Link 1 and Gaddock Chain Link 2. So once again, that Ash is not going to be able to stop it.
Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, not an effective card in this duel. Nobody could call that, but just effective chain blocking. Pascal is ready for this. Locked in, possibly claiming his seat in the finals.
Right now, let's keep track of the names here. We've got 3 in the grave that are different, as well as not including the combined creation.
Now Kevin taking this in stride well, a smile on his face, sort of absorbing it.
He can send it from the hand. He was sending all those to the graveyard. I thought they were going to his hand for some reason.
It feels like a second hand of Memento, that's for sure, but names go down, names go back to the deck.
Battle phase, here we go, 3,000 to the face, and the combined creation will be enough.
The handshake, the crowd goes wild.
What an amazing showing from Pascal. Everyone has been saying all weekend that Ryzeal's the best deck, and he's like, guys, I think I've got this one, and he did.
Pascal has smiled on the stage before, but that might be the most teeth I have seen on him all weekend. Just those pearly whites just feeling it. But now it seems he's settled in, he's locked in. Battle City isn't over just yet. He's still got one more match.
And you do gotta really feel for Kevin here, because as you're saying, like, Ryzeal's the deck that everyone knows about. It's the deck that everyone's been teching to beat, and he had to sit there reading all these cards. You're like, oh, I lose my materials? Oh, you get to still keep playing? Oh, you get to keep still sending cards from your deck to your graveyard? Okay, I guess that's okay.
Well, what is also okay for Kevin is his good friend is still going to make the finals.
That's
so
true.
If you're cheering for an international finals, it is still going to happen. So the fate of his dueling career now rests on Manuel's shoulders, but Pascal's going to have his work cut out for him.
But that was just an amazing match, and may I say I was super happy that we got to watch it as our final one for this weekend. Just putting a super cap on how amazing this event has been with all the different decks and all the, like, I would say, swan songs that people have been doing for the Maze of the Master format. I'm just super excited.
Just absolutely incredible. We've still got a couple of weeks to Maze the Master. Remember, Lions Inside isn't out until the beginning of May. Once it's finally legal, that is going to be so crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But you can still hear the chants. I don't know if it's coming over through the audio, but people are so excited about this because this is the energy of being here. You know, we hype it up, but they're going to tell the story much better than we ever could. People are so excited to see this. And man, Memento versus Ryzeal in the finals. Those Goblin Bikers may be crazy, or Manuel may just stomp things down. This is going to be an excellent finals either way.
Oh, yes, and I definitely think Pascal's feeling more confident than ever for this matchup and more proud than ever to be playing the deck that he's been working with for over a year now.
And it shows you that if you continue to grind out the same deck, you learn all these different matchups, and you don't get surprised. And I think that's really been the story. I'm not saying that anybody slept on Memento. Everyone knows it's a great deck, but I think they just didn't practice. They thought, you know what? Malice is popular, Ryzeal is popular, water decks are popular. I'm just going to hope I don't run into it. Unfortunately, for this Duel Academy exam, you do kind of have to know everything out there in the format because you don't know when a Pascal is coming your way.
You never know when a Doug is going to charge you, I'll tell you that much.
Charging on in. The Goblin Bikers really made that duel. I mean, that first one was just cut completely on Xyz materials being removed from the opponent's side of the field.
Oh yeah, he literally got rid of 3 materials off of a Verduo drive. Had that been a detonator, it wouldn't have been able to resolve once in like a meaningful way.
Like, that's insane though to think about. Like, the card's doing what they're supposed to do, but in such a way that just breathes like life into the Memento deck because of that Goblin intersection. So great, so great.
And it can weave into Utopic Draco Future? What the heck? That's so awesome.
Yeah, like I wasn't expecting to see that earlier. If you want to flash back on the VOD, that's going to be against Kai, but wow, just incredible.
Well, let's go ahead and throw over to Jackie and hear from the man himself, Pascal.
Thank you, Stevens. Pascal wins! He's going to the finals! Oh my gosh, this crowd loves you, Pascal. I mean, oh my gosh, you're all smiles. It's making me smile. How do you feel?
It feels great. This is actually like the furthest I've gone in the YCS. Like, I've topped a few times, but I've never got to the actual finals. So to see where it takes me if I could just keep playing my cards right and make sure I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do.
And you've spoken a lot about your brother. He's actually made it to 2 finals in the past. Now you're going to the finals. That's making me get a little emotional, to be honest.
Yeah, we've been playing the game since we were like kids, so yeah, it means a lot to get to this point. So yeah, hopefully I could represent and just keep going and try to pull it off.
Are you gonna text him and be like, give me some tips?
I don't think at this point it's just, you know, we just got to play it out and just see what happens. So, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's kind of been your strategy. You've just been going with the flow. I think, you know, a lot of people saw the Memento deck and they were like, oh, wow, okay. But you're like, this is working and I'm loving it.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of discount the deck because they just think about Razio and Malice, but like there are some strategies where it plays really well around like the XYZs, and like I have a side deck for Malice too as well, so I never really had a problem beating either one of those matchups. So
Unexpected, but believe in the heart of the cards, right?
Yep, definitely. Hopefully it still works for me right now.
Is there anything you want to say to your brother, anything you want to say to the crowd and everyone at home?
Nothing. Let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Let's do it. I love it. Thank you so much, Pascal. I'm going to send it back to our casters.
Oh, good